Look right here. You can see some of that convection right around this center, indicating that, we've got a very powerful storm here. Even well away from it, you can see some of these rain bands coming out of this storm. So getting stronger and stronger with time. A little bit of shear. Eric, we're going to talk to Eric here in a little bit, was kind of noticing some of these clouds coming up from the south. And really, if you think about it, that's probably an indicator, a little bit of shear going on. Not enough to hurt the storm, but kind of preventing some of that strengthening during the day today. However, with time, we have a lot of warm water. We will probably interact with the Bahamas with time, but not a lot of interaction with terrain before we get to the Bahamas, and that shear goes away. So really, we're continuing to think in this forecast strengthening. One of the bigger differences, I think, from the last time we did this, we are forecasting the potential of a Category 4 storm, 130 miles an hour by the time we make landfall in Florida. So you think about this cone. So we have strengthening. Let's look at the timing. A couple things I really need to point out here. One is the cone basically means we can expect this center anywhere in that cone 2/3 of the time, based on the last 5 years of our forecast error when it comes to the track. So anywhere in this area at the current time, because it's the extended forecast, could see the center. The other really important thing is, we've done this on previous hurricanes and previous storms, we look at the distance between some of these circles. This is the other change. So one change, a stronger storm by the time we get to the Florida coastline. Here's the other change. The other one is, look at the distance between those points. That right there is 24 hours. So 2 p.m. Monday to 2 p.m. Tuesday. This could change. This could change. It's called the along track error. So this could actually change with time. That's slow. That's a pretty slow movement. Slow is never our friend. So what that means is you'll have a longer period of time where you can get some of those hurricane force winds, a longer period of time that you can get the rainfall, torrential rainfall, and a longer period of time that you can have that onshore flow on the right-hand side of that storm. So slow is never our friend. We're watching that. Still some uncertainty associated with this storm, but at this point, no matter what, no matter where this track is, no matter where we move, there's still going to be impacts. There's still going to be storm surge. There's still going to be impacts from the rain and the wind. So let's look at some of the timing. That's probably one of the most frequent things that were asked. And so the timing is this. This is the onset of tropical storm force winds. It really helps us know when to be prepared. So we really don't need to be outside when we see tropical storm force winds. It becomes too dangerous to drive. It becomes too dangerous to hold a piece of plywood. It just becomes too dangerous outside. So here's the Florida coast. Let me outline it there. And so the onset of some of these tropical storm force winds at the current forecast, it looks like late on Sunday into the evening. So what does that translate to? You really need to have everything done. Work on it tomorrow. You can work on it Saturday. Maybe you have Sunday morning, but I'd try to really have things wrapped up on Saturday. Let's really have everything done, have your plan in place, have your houses ready, have everything that you need to get through this storm. We've been talking about some of that rainfall. Here's some of the early predictions that we have. A little too early to get too exact with this rainfall, but really that tells us this. I mean, you start getting into the reds and the oranges. The oranges are about 7 inches, so we have time to refine this forecast, but the reality is anywhere around the state, you can see some of that rainfall anywhere in that area there. So we're going to keep an eye on that, see how that changes. Really, it's a time to really get those plans together, because there'll be a lot of impacts. We haven't mentioned the storm surge too much yet because we're still formulating that. We'll have all the details on the storm surge, especially when we start getting into the phase where we have the watch issued. So we're going to be working on that. But the reality is the storm surge unit's been really huddling and trying to come up with some of those values. But I can tell you this. We huddled today and we talked about it. A typical hurricane, Category 4 strength, could actually produce, historically, looking at some of the data, some places could get a 10-foot or more storm surge. So a very dangerous situation. We will refine that with time as we get closer to the landfall here, but we'll start doing some of the modeling and come up with some of those values. So if you stay tuned, we'll be talking much more about the storm surge threat over the next couple of days. Eric's on duty. Let's go talk to Eric Blake. We talked about Dan was on duty during the day. Eric's got the evening shift, and coming in here and you're seeing the satellite. I mean, what are some of your early takeaways with what you see with the hurricane?
Sure. Well, we're starting to see. So we've been talking all day about the eyewall structure, the double eyewall. So we're seeing some evidence that the inner one is trying to collapse and the outer one is trying to take over. We're also getting data from the NOAA G4 around to sample the environment, and that'll hopefully make our model forecast better for the nighttime forecast.
So you see that in those type of changes. One thing, we got a lot of feedback on some of the mapping, and if you can, none of this is scripted, by the way. We've got to go with the flow. So Eric, I mean, people really enjoyed learning about this. Can you just explain what we do here, and we try to plot the hurricane track?
Sure. So all these little points here are just data points. These red triangles are the fixes from the plane. You have microwave fixes. You have sometimes some satellite fixes, whatever's there. And you can also look at the gray lines here. Those are the old forecasts. So you get an idea of where the trend's been going. Recently the trend has been going a little to the right, but it's been much more consistent toward Florida.
Okay, Eric, I appreciate that information. And Eric's on duty tonight, keeping an eye on things. We're here 24 hours a day, keeping an eye on the storm. Dennis, I'm going to walk this way and get Steve and Sarah in the background, just a little bit of peek behind the scenes of what we're doing. Standing here doing those television interviews through the whole thing. These are the folks that make things work behind the scenes, so we appreciate Sarah. We really appreciate Steve back there. So Steve's on the phone, so we can't wave to you, but he's doing a great job. So here it is, serious situation. Have a few days to get ready. All modes of the impacts from a hurricane are in play: the storm surge, the rain, and the wind. A few days to get ready, and the biggest thing is get the latest information. So be careful paying attention just to that track. Be careful paying attention to just the landfall. No matter where this thing goes, it looks like we're going to have some impacts from this hurricane starting late this weekend.